Okay, I'd like to call to order today, Tuesday, October 19th, our city council meeting, and ask the mayor to lead us in an invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Thank you. Please bow with me. Lord, thank you once again for the wonderful city of Sebring we live in. We thank you for the county. We thank you for the residents that we have, the staff, and our council. We ask that you watch over the council tonight and give them guidance. We also tonight get to be honored in the presence of those that have served our country faithfully and protected us and made it a free country and keep it a free country. And we appreciate all they've done, all their friends that have been gone with them and all that have passed. We ask that all we do in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Kathy, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Shute.
Here.
Bishop.
Here.
Carlisle.
Here.
Detman. Stewart. Lawrence.
Here. Okay, I'd like to announce business from the audience procedure. If you have something that you would like to address the council on and it is not on the agenda, then please see Miss Kathy Haley and she'll give you a proper form to fill out. And at the appropriate time, you can speak in front of the council. If it's on the agenda, then each item will have opportunity for the public to chime in on. Okay, mayor's report.
I got a few things tonight to report. A couple events that happened last weekend as far as the Circle of Truth concert. Thanks to Dee and her staff and everybody that helped her out put that on. It was a nice event down on Ridgewood. It's kind of neat to see God in our streets, so we appreciate that. And thanks for them that did that. It was really nice. And I think in January they have another one. They usually do behind the bank, the old bank, so in the parking lot. So you can come out and support that organization. They do a good job. But once again, Dee has really put her heart and soul into that. And I think they even have an event tonight, the Abide 365.
I know they had one Saturday night. They may have something.
Okay, and I think they have one tonight
Okay.
also at 6 o'clock in front of Dee's. So if we can get out of here early, then we can all go there. How does that sound? The Pam Elders, thanks to Pam with the Lighthouse for the Blind. She's puts on an annual event. I think this is the 7th year that she's done it, where it's a honoring and making sure that everybody knows that what the rights and responsibility of citizens are for the blind in our county and the country. But Pam does a good job. They had a nice turnout Saturday morning for that. This weekend starts the GFNY events. They had the marathon, I think, this weekend, and the bike race the following weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be a lot of people from out of town and out of the country, actually, that come to these events. It's a pretty big deal. I think they held the first bike race this year in New York City, and then they do us, and I think Santa Fe is the next one. So we're in a pretty elite group, and they do these events all over the world, the country and the world, and mostly bigger cities. We're the smallest town that they do the bike event in, so it's pretty much of an honor to have them do it here in Highlands County. And then our Farmers and Artisans Market was started this month. I think they had between 15 and 20 vendors that I saw. A lot of neat little things. They're trying to grow that, and they're doing a good job with it, so it's just good to see that. So. But I also have one other proclamation I get to read, and if I could have Carl Kuhl come up to the podium, please. Carl is part of the Sunrise Rotary Club, and one of Rotary's major functions is polio, which you guys have nothing to do anymore because it's almost eradicated. So now we just need to work on coronavirus. And we can really have a good room. But I'll read this proclamation, Carl. The City Council of the City of Sebring, Florida proclaims October 24th, 2021 as World Polio Day, whereas Rotary International is a global network of neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who unite and take action to create lasting change in communities across the globe. And whereas the Rotary motto, service above self, inspires members to provide humanitarian services, follow high ethical standards, and promote goodwill and peace in the world. And whereas Rotary in 1985 launched Polio Plus and in 1988 helped establish a global polio eradication initiative, which today includes the World Health Organization, U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, UNICEF, and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, to immunize the children of the world against polio. Whereas polio cases have dropped by 99.9% since 1988, and the world stands on the threshold of eradicating the disease. Whereas the Rotary has contributed more than $2.1 billion in countless volunteer hours to protecting more than 2.5 billion children in 122 countries. And whereas Rotary is working to raise an additional $50 million per year, which would be leveraged with a maximum impact for another additional $100 million annually from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And whereas these efforts are providing much needed operation support, medical staff, laboratory equipment, and educational materials for health workers and parents. And whereas in addition, Rotary has played a major role in decisions by donor governments to contribute more than $10 billion to the effort. And whereas there are over 1.2 million Rotary members and more than 35,000 clubs throughout the world that sponsor service projects to address the critical issues as poverty, disease, hunger, illiteracy, and the environment in their local communities. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, John Shute, Mayor of the City of Sebring, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 24, 2021 as World Polio Day. Encourage all citizens to join me and Rotary International in the fight of a polio-free world. So, thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. I am not the president. Our president, Eric Zoyer, would be here, but he's coaching a Little League ball game tonight. So he asked me to come. I'm the foundation chair of our Rotary Club, and it's good to know that we're a part of something. Our children are not going to have to worry about polio. In the last 10 years, there's not been a polio case reported in the Western Hemisphere, North America or South America. We've gotten it down to only, I believe, 2 countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan. If that polio can be eliminated there, it will be eliminated off the face of the earth. That's pretty good. So that's a big change. When you think about it, back in 1985, 350,000 people a year was getting polio. And that can be, I had a personal experience of that when I was in first grade. I had polio. And I was one of the very, very fortunate people that got fully, I recovered. But a buddy of mine got it, and he got crippled up. And he couldn't, he didn't graduate from high school. He didn't live that long. And in those days, we didn't have a vaccine. There was no vaccine for polio. So now there is, and it's being used, and one day, hopefully, we'll see a world without polio ever.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carl.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Don't sit down yet.
Okay.
November 6th.
November 6th. Yes,
We
sir.
have Lake Jackson Cleanup Day. Carl's spearheading this thing, so y'all are invited to Veterans Beach on the 6th.
At 8 o'clock, bring your boat, your pontoon boat. There's going to be a bunch of people out there. I see people out here in this audience that have a boat, that live on Lake Jackson, who love Lake Jackson, grew up on Lake Jackson. And 5 years ago, we had a cleanup day, and we got a bunch of dumpsters of stuff. We've had a hurricane since then. We think we're going to get a lot of stuff this time again. So I appreciate all those people that helped put the planning together. But please mark your calendars. November 6th, Saturday morning, 8 o'clock till noon, and you get a free hot dog after you get through cleaning up the lake. And I know
Maybe you could go to the art festival after.
And the guy that's going to be doing the cooking was the guy that did the cooking last year, and nobody got sick last time.
Good hot dog. Thank you, Carl. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Councilman's concerns, Mr. Carlisle.
No report.
Okay, Mr. Bishop.
Yes, sir.
No? Well, the only thing I was going to say was the Lake Jackson cleanup, and that's been said, but I would also like to encourage everybody to come out for that. Whether you have a boat or not, you can come out, and the lake's going to be split up into 1 mile segments, and different groups will do different miles and pick up the trash and bring it back to the Veterans Beach, and I think there'll be dumpsters there for them to haul it away. So, the Lake Jackson is our showcase lake here. It's right in the middle of Sebring, so let's take good care of it. So, thank you. Okay, consent agenda.
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Is there any items there that anyone in the public would like to speak about on the consent agenda? Any further comments from council or mayor or anyone? Okay, Kathy, would you call a vote, please?
Bishop,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes. Okay, consent agenda has passed. I have no old business, so we're gonna move on to new business. Proposal for the Girl Scout House property. Colonel Michael Borders.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the council. I'm accompanied by several members of the Florida Medal of Honor Memorial Incorporated. Ray McIntyre, who many of you know is the vice chairman. I've got Don Laycock, who is our construction guru. Marty DeSalle, publicity. Byron Oakley is the junior vice chair. His wife Heather works publicity and programs, and Judy Laycock works the construction as assistant to her husband Don. This organization was founded some time ago. It is a 501c3 registered with the IRS. It's a tax exempt in the state of Florida, and we're also properly registered with the Department of Agriculture Division of Consumer Services. A few years ago, the county offered a piece of property that is essentially the big yard immediately north of the Veteran Services Office out behind the watering hole, about 1.33 acres, and we had a good plan for that. But so did some gopher tortoises. And I don't need to go into gopher tortoises. I'm sure some of you have done all the right things to have them removed from the property. And as a 501c3 and doing things the right way, we realized that those 16 gopher tortoises, with the way things work out, are going to cost about $100,000 to remove. And that's $100,000 we do not want to spend. So we came to the county to try to mitigate that expense. The county has offered us $50,000 of in-kind support. The kinds of support and quantities we've gotten financial donations from organizations like Publix, electric co-ops, John McClure, who is also our legal counsel, and many others have donated cash to our organization. Our in-kind support that we have had offered to us include people like Yana Concrete, Bowman Steel, and many others. The in-kind support is worth about $150,000 from people primarily here in the community, but also a random business in Brandon sent us $1,000 as a result of a mailer. They liked what they saw. Through the good offices of Representative Kaylee Tuck and the work of this board, and primarily the work of Raymond McIntyre, we submitted a grant request. And we submitted that grant request 3 or 4 times. Got knocked out by Hurricane Michael once. COVID got us once. But this year, it went through the entire legislative process, and the state of Florida will be advancing $250,000 to our organization. So this dream is going to become a reality. The question becomes, where is that reality? When I made the presentation to the county, I was prepared to take their $50,000 of in-kind support, use that to mitigate, figure out if we could get any other relief on our friends, the gopher tortoises, and put the memorial out there at by the VSO. But it came to our attention that there might be a possibility for us to obtain the piece of property on the corner down here, commonly called the Girl Scout House Corner, or other names similar to that. We believe that is actually a great idea. While it's a smaller piece of property and has caused our construction guru to adjust his plans, we believe that we can put a really nice memorial in the heart of the downtown that would bring, and while our objective is not to bring folks downtown to eat lunch in the businesses or spend money, that would be certainly a second or a third order effect. But as we've gone around and traveled to different cities and counties here in the heartland of Florida and other places with another organization, I do a significant amount of traveling around the entire state. And veterans memorials and monuments are almost always right in the heart of a downtown. So if you think about Okeechobee, it's right down on the corner. You think about Lake Wales, Lakeland, Wauchula, these kinds of monuments, Arcadia, are always in the heart of the downtown. So someone said, well, hey, use the Girl Scout house as your learning center. And I would tell you that I would love to use that Girl Scout house as our learning center, which is one of the primary things that we would build on the piece of property. But if any of you have taken a hard look at the Girl Scout house, you would know that it is in incredible disrepair and would be nothing but a money pit. I've seen figures thrown around even as recently as a newspaper article a couple of weeks ago in the E-edition, which had a lot of, unfortunately, some bad information in it. But $80,000 would be a Band-Aid, and it would not repair the building. In fact, we've had some highly competent individuals look at that, and it would probably cost somewhere around $200,000 to truly fix it. If you go, just take a look on the outside, you see. If you go on the inside, you see what kind of condition, where the foundation has failed, walls are buckling, there are holes that are filled in with the foam that you buy at a hardware store, and it is termite infested. So we understand, and I know that there may be someone here in the audience that is really attached to the Girl Scout house, because there is naturally an attachment to historic places. Should the city accede to our request, I would like to work with that organization to see if that building could not be moved. But barring that, it would be our intent to remove that building, along with, believe it or not, the pavilion, which is also termite infested and eaten up. It's about $10,000 to remove all of the improvements on that piece of property, and we have a company that will do that for us for nothing. They would do that as a contribution to our cause. This memorial, and on your little brochure that I handed out, what you see there was the old concept, but the key on that, on the front cover, which is in your left, there you go, is that monument that shows, you see it's a 5-sided star, and that indicates 23 recipients of the Medal of Honor from the state of Florida. There are 23. 16 of those received the medal, and we don't call them winners in the military. That's what you hear so often, but they're recipients. 23, 16 of those got it the hard way. And these date from the Indian Wars all the way up to one each from Afghanistan and Iraq. We believe the importance of honoring these men is essential to continue to educate our population, but especially our youth, about the cost, the blood, the sacrifice, the commitment, the patriotism of these individuals, and as the mayor indicated at the beginning, of the freedoms that we enjoy today. Much of that has to do with, of course, not just the men that have received the Medal of Honor, but also all men and women in uniform. So the city, Scott is in receipt of a letter from our organization requesting that the piece of property be transferred to us. He also has, and you have probably seen in your packets, 2 letters from the county supporting our request to have the piece of property transferred to us. There has been some concern about what happens if we go defunct. We actually have people on our board that are in their 30s and 40s, which I know qualifies almost as teenagers in Sebring, since everybody here seems to be in the senior set for the most part. We believe firmly that we're an enduring organization. This is a county that draws in not only lots of veterans, but folks coming in at the beginning of their retirement years that contribute their time and energies into volunteer organizations. It's not a veteran group. Well, over half of the individuals, our entire board is not here tonight, are not veterans. Many of those did not serve. Many of them did serve in the military. So I don't want to call it a veterans group. It's not, if someone thinks that's what it is. But we believe that this is an opportunity now for the city. The county's contributing $50,000. The state's contributing $250,000. Many individuals have contributed money, and many organizations are contributing in-kind materials, goods, services, and labor to assist us in making this memorial a reality. And we think this is an opportunity for the city to do the same. And so my request is simple, and that is that the city accede to and approve transferring that piece of property to our organization. Now, one question that hangs out there: what happens if our organization were to someday fail and become defunct? And the county administrator, in his communication with Scott, Randy Vosberg has provided language that we would, that piece of property would revert either to the city or county. What would make the most sense at that point? And I know there's some details to be worked out. And I know we have a city attorney that would be part of that process, because attorneys are always part of those kinds of processes. So I stand by to answer any of your questions.
Okay, well, let me first of all say that, that I think that this would be a great use for this piece of property. We have investigated thoroughly the possible renovation of the Girl Scout house. And as you said, it is in terrible repair. And this would, honor our veterans, and I think it would be a great use for that property personally. I really do. I just think it's great that you guys have come up with this. And I would hope that there would never be any other names added to this, but I also am part of, the reality group. So is there additional space here?
There is. Yeah, you can't see it on that that graphic, but there is additional space.
Uh-huh.
The learning center that monument would end up being, so that 5-sided star with the concave sides that you would
Yes.
see, that would be essentially there at the corner of Eucalyptus and Commerce, so that would be visible to traffic there. And towards the northern end of that piece of property, we would put a learning center. One of the things that the learning center would have in its design, so think of a building that's roughly a rectangle. It's not exactly a rectangle, but there would be a curved balcony that would essentially replace the gazebo you see there. And we would call that, the gazebo was called Citation Hall. So we would have 23 citations. In other words, Tommy McGuire did this, received the Medal of Honor posthumously, the whole text.
Right.
And that's going to be engraved, laser engraved, and we're getting some great tech support out of the college, by the way, with things like CAD drawings and so forth. But they have this laser etcher out there that you can do just about anything with, and we'll use black granite slabs to put the citations for each of those, and we'll account for what will certainly, I was in the Army for 30 years, there will be more. So we've accounted for that.
Okay.
And then the Learning Center itself turns into a visitor center, museum, gallery of sorts with different items. But we've got really wonderful support. I am going to be going back out along with members of the staff, soliciting more contributions, financial. I'll probably go to some nearby banks. There's a couple right down the street here. There are some banks in the downtown, aren't there? So
There's one good one.
one good one. So, but we're very confident that the money was approved, the $250,000. It was in the state budget. The governor signed it. We're going to get the money, and we've got the support of all these other organizations. We're going to make this a reality. And somebody asked me at a meeting where I briefed this, why Sebring? And I said, we're just as good as anybody else. And,
Well, thank you.
and we are. It doesn't have to be in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
So, to me, this is a great place for it. It's central. We get a lot of visitors to this county, and this will be an attraction that will bring in even more visitors.
I think it's a great idea. Other councilmen?
I agree. I know what you're saying about the Girl Scout house. I know there's a lot of people that's kind of, they would hate to see it tore down, but I visited there, I think, two years ago, a year ago, and it was in bad shape then, and nothing's happened to it. The termites are definitely having their meals there, so you hate to see that building's been there as long as I can remember, and I was born here. So you hate to see stuff like that disappear, but I agree this is a great idea. I think it's well needed here. So
We wish that building was recoverable for $80,000, because actually the floor plan is great.
yeah.
Of course, that wouldn't allow us to put the actual monument at the corner, but if that building was in great shape, we would not tear it down. And again, I want to work with any organization that would care to try to move the building. I am not confident that building will make it to the corner.
No.
But I've said this before, there is an affection for old things, and it costs a lot of money to maintain old things. And my wife is a perfect example. Tough crowd over here, but
So where are you going tonight since you can't go home?
I've got a bunk set up in the garage. I'll take any questions from anybody, but again, that's our request. We'd like that piece of property, and we'll work the details with the county and city administrators for the transfer.
No, I don't have any questions. I mean, I saw your presentation at the county, and I think you've done very well. I'd like to see it be used for something that's going to be useful, just a rotten building.
Right.
Mayor?
So,
No, I think it's a great concept, like I'm kind of in Lennard's camp. I hate to see that building go. If there's some way to preserve that or something, but I've also been through that, and if the roof is listing, many of the logs are rotted on the backside of that thing, and in terms, you're right, there's a bunch of termites in there, so, but it is a part of our history, and, we've heard that many times about buildings and that stuff, but, there does come a time, when some change has to happen if it's irreparable, but, it's a great concept. I think that's a great spot to put it in. It's right there in the center of town. If I had my ways and you had to put a reverter clause in that, I'd said it'd revert back to the county. So, and then we'd make the county pay us for the property. So they seem to want to be in our business anyway.
We'll
so,
talk to the property appraiser about that.
Exactly. No, I think it's a great concept. I've seen it out at the park that you have it at, and I think this would be 1,000% improvement.
Oh, sure.
And honor the people that earned it.
Any comments from the public? Come on up and tell us who you are and what you have to say about it.
Hello, I'm Terry Mendel, born in Sebring, Florida, Brownie Girl Scout at that house. And I'm with Lennard. We love that house. My granddad had a hand in building that house, and many, many happy memories there. But it is in deplorable shape, and it would not move. I don't think it would move past the corner either. And it's just, I don't know, there isn't probably enough money to fix it up hardly. And I would personally love to see it sit on that corner, but it really is in the state of it is going to fall down at some point. So that being said, Kathy Rapp had a long talk with me today, and I'm a board member of Sebring Historical Society, but we support you. I can't think of a better use for that property than honoring our veterans. So thank you very much. So just wanted to say we are in support of that. I think it's a great spot for it.
Thank you.
Just as a side note, one of the things we're going to do and I'm not into aesthetics, and Don doesn't look like he would be into aesthetics, but he is.
You're not gonna be able to stay at his place either.
Right, but if you look at the government building and how it has the dark and the light concrete block, and if you look at the Girl Scout house, how it has the dark, the logs with the, what do you call that stuff in there? The chinking, the dark and white. If you get where you line them up where they touch each other, they almost look like they merge. So our intent would be that the concrete block we use would kind of be like 8-inch, 4-inch, roughly, to kind of mimic the Girl Scout house, the way it looks now. And then that balcony I mentioned will have the same radius as the whatever they call it, that big bulge on the south end of the government center where the commissioner's room is. So we're actually thinking about these kinds of things. Everything about this is Florida related. So all of the grasses and shrubs, for example, that are in there have to be native to Florida. They can occur in New York, but they have to be native to Florida to be in there. So the detail is significant. And even that blue circle you see on the monument, I was briefing Kevin Roberts with Don and Raymond one day, and I said, yeah, and that's about an inch deep. And Donald corrected me, says that's 5/8 of an inch deep. So we have real detail in what we're doing here.
Very good.
So,
Anyone else from the public would like to speak on this? No other comments? I would just like to maybe suggest, as you do
Yes, sir.
this too, maybe if you can see it in your plan, to put some little memorial from what was there, the Girl Scout house.
we've already
And,
we've already considered that, and we're going to do that.
Yeah, no, that'd be
Yeah.
great, and just to show the
Yeah.
history of the property,
Right.
if you will. Okay. Well, I'd like to request a motion.
Okay, I make a motion. I got one question though. When we talk about reverting back to the city or the county, the mayor mentioned that if we reverted back to the county, they would have to pay us for it. Does it really matter who it reverts back to?
Well, it started off as the city, so
I
I
would
would
think
say
it goes back to the city.
either comes back to the city or set a number and say it can revert to the county, but they have to pay us, let's just say $100,000, which is probably more or less the value of it today.
Yeah, okay.
I
Something
don't
along
think
those
we can get
lines.
it back, but I think,
We're not gonna get it back.
I know.
I don't think so either.
But I think in that situation, I would rather have the county own that piece of property that's surrounded by the county, and they have control over it, and then we don't get back into the spot where we have to all of a sudden give them another 50-year lease at $1 a year, which means nothing to us.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just one of it becomes, and like I said, Colonel Porter, I don't think this would ever come back.
I don't
As
either.
long as you have 30-year-olds out there, you're fine. So when you guys get old enough that you can't remember about the thing, that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah,
But this one is.
when I get to
yeah.
be Lenny's age, it'd be a problem.
That's it. But that way, I mean, there's the maintenance of it and all this other
Yeah.
stuff, and I think right there with the government center is probably the smartest thing.
And speaking to the maintenance, I know that I'm going to be out with some of these guys sometimes with power washers and hedge trimmers and so forth. But most of you probably know I'm also the president of the Military Officers Association of America organization here, and also at the state of Florida level. And the 3 JROTC officers that run those 3 organizations here in the county are also members of my MOA chapter. And each of them have committed that their kids do community service projects. They have to do them anyway. The way when we were kids, we didn't have community service, but we may have done it, but it wasn't part of an organized program in the school system. But the kids these days have to do that. The ROTC kids have to do that, and each of the 3 of them have committed to support us with that. So we're going to have some free labor there for some time to come. But that's not the only labor we would be looking for, but that will be a big assist.
Okay, well, I make a motion that the city donates the Girl Scout property to Florida Medal of Honor Memorial, Inc., and case that there's any issues, that it reverts to the county.
Second?
Question?
In the description in here, it says, we have to go through the disposition process,
Mhm.
so.
Right, this can be the plan that you can advertise, receive proposals that you can consider, you know, as an alternative to this.
Will they have to submit a proposal, or this is their?
This
proposal?
could suffice
we
you,
can- okay.
unless they wanted to change it, but this would be sufficient.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
fine.
And just so you know, there's a statute that limits reverters to 21 years, so you couldn't have it perpetually bound to go back to the county
Yeah.
100 years from now. But in 21 years, they likely will have built it and have it up and running, and then it's just maintenance.
So what would happen after the 21 years then if?
It would be a void reverter. You could only have the reverter last for a certain number of years, as if they sold it in that 21-year period, it could come back to the county rather than go to a.
Could the reversion clause be renewed at that point?
Probably could, but nobody would remember to do it.
I'm thinking, Don won't be around, but I will be. So,
So at
If you
25
keep talking
years,
about
it
your
will not
wife
be
the way you
back.
did, I don't know. You will be.
As you may recall, that we had a reverter in the Women's Club building, when we donated that for them to build the building on, and it was unenforceable to give it back when they wanted to sell it.
Okay, so they theoretically could end up in the same situation as a women's club and sell it back to us or something, or sell it back to the county.
Yes, sir.
After the 21 years.
But I think it'll be there
I think so.
for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comments from up here? Any other comments from the public before we take a vote on this motion? And
I just want to say thanks, Terry, for coming up and
yes.
talking to us.
Well, it's hard.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I will make one other comment with that, and that has been out there, the Girl Scout house, for the last couple of years, that we've been looking for somebody to step forward and do something with it, but nothing has happened. We've made it pretty much public knowledge that if somebody wanted it and would move it at their expense, or maybe even with us helping them, or the county helping them, no one came forward in the last couple of years, and it's just gotten worse and worse. So, but I also do appreciate you coming up and speaking, especially with your history with it. That's huge.
As does our entire board. Thank you.
I was also a Brownie and a Girl Scout there too, by the way.
Yes.
Have many memories there too.
Would you like to say anything about it?
No, I just remember being there and being out in the front yard and playing, and a lot of memories there.
It was
Yeah.
a wonderful place.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Kathy, would you call the roll, please?
Bishop,
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes,
Morantz.
Yes. So unanimously, you've got it.
Thank you very much.
you're very welcome.
Thank you. Okay, we're now going to enter into a public hearing, CRA property disposition at 209 Circle Park Drive. Purpose of the public hearing. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you guys would like, anyone, okay. Okay, council will receive input on the Sebring Community Redevelopment Agency's proposed disposal of the real property located at 209 Circle Park Drive, Sebring, Florida, for less than market value. Okay, Mr. Lydell.
Good evening, council. The Sebring CRA, as you know, purchased the building located at 209 Circle Park Drive about a year ago. We have since gone through the disposition process, and the selection committee has recommended that Tiffany and Bob Cadzo receive the property for the purpose of putting a Irish pub on the first floor and a boutique hotel on the second floor. Our board approved that and has advertised that through the proper channels, and tonight is the night for the public hearing, and for y'all's approval, we hope to grant that agreement to be put into place.
Okay. Any comments from council? Questions?
No, I'm just glad to see things starting to happen downtown.
Amen.
Occupy those buildings.
Yep. Any comments from the public? Now's your chance. We're gonna give away a big building down here. Sure you don't wanna say anything?
Very exciting.
Okay, well, very good. Okay, no comments from the public. The only thing I would like to say is that I think it's a great thing that the CRA is getting businesses to come into the downtown area. There's some other businesses that are coming in as well. I think part of it's because they've heard about what's going on. And even without, you know, the CRA buying their buildings and turning them over to them, they're opening up on North Ridgewood. There's a couple new businesses and other places, and so I'm in you know, with high hopes that this is really gonna work great, so. And, I'll certainly probably be one of the patrons over there. All right, no other comments, then, we'll close the public hearing. And now we'll go to the CRA disposition of 209 Circle Park Drive.
I think he's waiting on you.
Mr. Lidell.
Well, the Sebring CRA would like to recommend that the City Council approve the agreement between the Sebring CRA and Bob and Tiffany Cadzo for the 209 Circle Park Drive.
Specifically, it is with Roanoke 1917 LLC. That would be the tenant under the agreement that's been proposed.
Okay. All right, any comments from the council? Nope. Any other comments from the public? Okay.
When would this happen? If this is passed, when will they go to work?
They will begin construction very quickly. They are not planning to go in, to open for business until August, September of next year. So because of the delay that we ran into, part of our negotiation did incorporate the fact that we did not want them to go through the construction phase during the season and be forced to open during the slowest part of the year. So there's some grace period, excuse me, grace period built into that. So it'll be about a year from now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's
I'll look
not really relating to this, but they're also on the, I think, 301. How are they coming along?
They're moving quickly. They have promised to be open for at least a few minutes on November 1st because there was a handshake agreement to that, I believe, and they still intend to honor that. So make your plans to stop by during that assigned time. But other than that, no, they're still working very feverishly to try to get open as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, entertain motions.
Make a motion, we approve the disposition of the CRA owned property at 209 Circle Park Drive as presented.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Another opportunity for anyone in the public to speak on this? Any other comments or thoughts from council members or? No? Okay, Kathy, would you call the roll, please?
Bishop,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Clements.
Yes. Okay, unanimously, that has been approved. Okay, business from the audience? No business from the audience? City attorney's business?
Nothing further, sir.
Okay, city administrator's business?
I have none.
We might get out early tonight.
We might get out early tonight.
Let's see a
We might.
concert.
Go find these.
There you go.
I don't think it's a concert, I think it's just a meeting, or a gathering.
A gathering? Oh, it's movies.
But maybe we could talk about the bills.
Oh, council needs to approve the.
So moved.
We
City
want
clerk's
her-
business.
So moved.
Second.